The Signs of the Times, episode number 10. And now we'll turn to the book of Revelation. We have spoken in previous episodes, especially on Matthew 24, how the Lord Jesus explains all kinds of signs of the times, one thing after another, explaining it to his disciples. But when you turn to the book of Revelation, you get even a lot more details about these signs of the times. And it is so sad that the book of Revelation has remained a closed book in the history of the church. It was difficult, you couldn't understand it, so let's just read the first 3 chapters about these 7 churches. That's more or less understandable, and maybe we turn to chapter 19 and 20, when Jesus comes back in glory and the kingdom comes, but everything that is between, from chapter 4 to chapter 19, let's not deal with that. With the result that all kinds of sects have taken the book of Revelation and have come up with all kinds of what I sometimes call eschatological science fiction. All kinds of strange ideas and basing it on this verse and that verse. So we, the church, ignored the book almost, which is so sad, because the Lord Jesus has come in glory specifically to his old friend John, who was on the Isle of Patmos. Suddenly John sees this glorious being, Jesus, full of light and everlasting life. So he falls down, and then Jesus puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "John, it's me. And I've come here to show you, to reveal to you the things of the future, as the Father has given it to me." So the book of Revelation is revealing the glory of Jesus. We know a lot about the suffering of Jesus on the cross and during his life, that he was despised. But now we get a picture of how God will one day glorify him and turn him into the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the master of the universe, so to speak. That's all in the book of Revelation. So when you look at the book, then compare it with what Jesus said in Matthew 24, the structure of the book of Revelation is the same as the structure of Matthew 24. You will find the same order of events that Jesus spoke in Matthew 24, Matthew 25. You will find the same order of events in the book of Revelation. In a typical Middle Eastern way of telling things, it's like zooming in. You get all kinds of things with regard to the future and ever more details. You get closer and closer and closer to these events. So it's not a long line of then this and then that and then that. It's more like a zooming in on the same things. Now, in the book of Revelation, you have chapter 6, and we call this episode Riders, or you might even say Ghost Riders in the Sky. There are angelic beings riding on horses, causing all kinds of things to happen on planet Earth. You read in the first 2 verses in chapter 6, "I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals, This refers to a previous event. John sees a scroll being sealed. Apparently the scroll written at the inside and the outside is containing the future of the planet and of the universe, the future of history, world history, how it will develop and where it will end to and what will happen during the process. But nobody can break the seals. And so John is crying over that. Is no one capable of breaking the seals? So will the history of the world will always be this terrible history with the wars and the plagues and the lawlessness and the diseases and the abuse of children and dying out, etc. Is there no one who can take the history and bring it to its climax, to the next stage? And then one of the angels in heaven says, there's one who is worthy. And then John sees the Lord Jesus. And he comes to the Father, and the Father gives to him the scroll with the seals. And then the seals can be broken. And so Jesus is the one who is in charge and in control of the development of the things that are happening on planet Earth. He is leading now the process of world history towards the glorious end of it. And so I watched as the Lamb, Jesus, opened the first of the 7 seals. And then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." These living creatures are representing creation before God. John sees them around the throne of God. They're angels, but there are also these creatures and so forth. I look, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Now, who is this first rider in the sky who's riding out? This first horse with his rider, who's having a bow, given a crown, so he's victorious somehow. And he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Now, in many books you find that this is the coming of Antichrist on planet Earth. But I don't think so. And why? Because white in the book of Revelation is always combined with God and with Christ and with the saints and the angels. White robes, a white stone, Jesus clothed in white, even as light, and so forth. So this has to do with Jesus and with God. So what I think this first rider will be, and that's in perfect match with Matthew 24, you have these things of Matthew 24 also in the other Gospels. And in the book of Mark, in Mark 13 verse 10 it says, "And the gospel must first be preached to all nations. After this, the other riders come out to sow death and destruction and whatever comes first. But the white rider must come first, being the preaching of the gospel, hitting with arrows the hearts of millions of people around the globe to get saved, to hear the words of the gospel. He must come first, the preaching around the world, and then the others will follow. And so this is wonderful. I think in the book of Revelation, it's not just that these riders come one after another. Yes, they come one after another, but they also somehow ride out together. But still with the preaching of the love of God and the saving grace of Jesus Christ in front. And so we're privileged people. Yes, we see the signs of the times coming to planet Earth, but still there's the rider on the white horse, and he's powerful. And if you want to belong to him and be part of that glorious future that ultimately will come, open your hearts and let the arrows of love of God penetrate your heart and soul and mind, and be saved. Then you don't have to worry about anything, what's coming to planet Earth, because you have your citizenship in heaven, and you'll be there in the presence of God and of the Lamb and of all the saints who went before us and the angels, waiting for the glorious future to come.